In this section, we're going to cover a very helpful tool that we're making available to all of the members, and it's called the Active Member Calculator. It will help you in 4 different ways. First of all, it will help you understand the hybrid rebate system by example so it becomes very real to you. So you can see the distinction and the separation between the shared array and the overage rebate systems. Secondly, not only will it help you set goals, it will also help you set the milestones for achieving those goals. The third thing it's great for is a training device, and that's how I'm going to use it here in the next little while as we go through this session. Basically for training. The fourth way it can be used is as a support tool for inviting new members, so they can rapidly understand and see the advantages of the residual rebate system and also of becoming a member. Now what we've also done is put together a one-page summary back to back that literally covers everything in the introductory presentation. In that way you can have a new member you're inviting, watch the introduction, review it with them through the one-page summary, and then walk them through the rebate system using the calculator. Now you can either do that online, or if you want to go meet with somebody, you can actually have these printed off, and I suggest you actually do that and have the printing shops pad them up in packs of 25. Now if color is a little too expensive, then just ask them to print them off in grayscale. They have exactly the same content, and I'm sure it won't matter at all to your new invited member. So now let's go ahead and do some training using the Active Member Calculator. So the calculator is very short and very easy to use. All you have to do is plug in numbers into these blue sections, and it's just about this long, and then you're complete. What will happen is you will get immediate results up here at the top, but if you want to see more detailed results, you want to go to the calculator results. The very first thing you're going to do in the calculator is set a 2-year member goal. And then what the results section will break down is what milestones you have to achieve to get there, what the shared rebates will be as you're getting there, what the overage rebates will be, and finally what the total will be. Then what we'll do is we'll graph that out with the total monthly rebates you'll be receiving, and then the total over the 2 years you would have received. Finally, in our short little tour here is the Rebates Chart tab, which we showed you both the shared rebates, the overage rebates, and then the combination of the shared and overage rebates, so you can have those for references. So let's get started putting some input into the calculator. Now I just want to let you know here, I'm going to be doing some things very deliberately for training purposes, so that you see all aspects of the hybrid residual rebate system. You will not need to be so deliberate when you're filling this out for yourself, but you may want to be as you're showing others or training. All you have to do is follow the step by step. So the first question I'm going to ask the hypothetical you is step 1. Enter your prediction or estimate of the number of active members in your shopping group in 2 years. And what you respond is 500. Okay, that's a good goal. Now fill in your number of active members in your shopping circle. And now just for training purposes, I'm going to put in the number 1. Next question. Enter the amount of purchases you regularly expect to make with Worldwide Shoppers Club, merchants, and service providers, assuming a 10% rebate. So right now, again, for training purposes, I'm going to put in $80. Now, with everything we've put in so far, you can see you haven't received any rebates. And the reason here is because you're not an active member yet. You haven't done at least $10 in rebates. So let's fix that by increasing the number to 100. So at least you have $10 of share pool rebates, which makes you an active member, and now you're able to receive rebates. So if you look at your instant results, you can see you're receiving $500 a month in rebates, and you would have received $4,305 over the 2-year period. So while we're looking at results, let's go to the Calculator Results tab. And I'm sure you can see a huge difference here because on the graph it says you should be receiving rebates of $2,000 per month, and you should have received rebates of $17,220 over the 2-year period. The difference is graphs assume that you have 3 people in your shopping circle. And we did that over here in the calculator again just to prove a point. So if you only have 1 person, you're only going to be receiving 25% of your rebates. If you have 2 people, well then you'll receive 50%. And of course the place to be is 3 active members in your shopping circle to receive the full rebates. Now let's go back to the Results tab just to show you the upper section. Again, what we have here is your 2-year goal, and each one of these numbers is the number of members you would have to bring in each month over 2 years to achieve the goal of 500. In the shared rebate section is the amount that you would receive each month for the milestones achieved. Now as of right now we don't have anything in the overage because we haven't gotten there yet, but this final section as we move forward will be the total of the shared and the overage according to the member milestones. So now let's continue by adding overage into the equation. So what we're going to do to get you into the overage pool is just add a little bit more. Let's just move this up to $200. Which means now you're spending $100 for your first 10% for the shared pool, and now you have $100 overage, which means you're in the $10 overage subpool. Now again, I want to qualify here that we're using dollars and we're using 10%, but you should know by now that this is all based on the number of rebates that you've generated, not the dollars you spent. Now if you look up, you'll notice that the rebates haven't changed, and the reason is because we actually need to add 2 more pieces of information. The first is step 3. In each overage subpool, enter the percentage of your group you expect to be shopping at that level. And the levels we're referring to are the overage shopping group levels. So what percentage of your group will be shopping at the $10 subpool overage level? And what I'm going to put in here is 70%. All right, how about the $20? Let's put in 40%. And then the $30 subpool would be 30%. And the people making it all the way into the $40 subpool in your whole group, let's suppose, is only 10%. Okay, numbers still haven't changed. Now we need to enter this last piece of information. Step 4, enter the percentage your overage rebate group will be of your shared array rebate group. Now the reason we need to ask this question is because your overage group could likely be much smaller than your shared array group if there was a lot of gifting that occurred from your inviting members. This means that your array could fill faster because it is designed that way to be part of the shared rebate pool. In the overage rebate group, you are very directly personally responsible for the size and growth of that group. Now if you don't get a lot of gifting going on, these groups won't be that far apart. So here it will be up for you to decide what the percentage would be and to play with the numbers. I'm going to start with a fairly large separation to say that your overage group is only going to be 30%. So we've just put in here for reference as your 2-year goal. This says that your overage group, but the percentage that you put in here is 150 active members. Now you can see that the calculator changed. It went up from 2,000 to 2,154. Let's go look at that on the graph. So on the graph here you can see the very beginnings of the overage rebate, which is only $154 right now. So let's go back to the calculator and see what we can do to increase our overage rebates. Well, actually, there's 3 things we can do. Number 1, we can shop more. Number 2, we can have our group shop more. And number 3, we can have a larger overage group. Now remember, these are all variables and changeable so that you can see the effects of one from the other. What I think we should do is start right here with the size of your overage group. I think 30% is way too low for an overage group, so let's change that to at least 50%. Now what we want to do is go and see the effects of more overage shopping. But just before we do that, so we can do an overall overage shopping comparison, let's go back and bring your shopping level down to 100 so you're not in any overage subpools. And then we can build back up again. Now the nice thing about this is that it's not really a large shopping group size, and the shared array rebates are right at an even $2,000. So we can easily see and calculate the differences as we get into the different overage shopping subpools. So let's do that. Let's start climbing back up. Let's add that extra $100 back in, so now you're doing $200 or generating $20 in rebates, putting you into the $10 overage subpool. Well, from here, as you can see, your total rebates have gone up to $2,349. So spending that $100 increased your rebates by $349. Well, that might encourage you to go do some more overage spending. So let's move that up another $100, which will now also put you into the $20 subpool. And you can see your rebates went up by another $218 by spending that $100. So now you're at $2,567. Okay, how about an extra $100 to put you in the $30 overage subpool? So now you can receive overage rebate points and rebates from the $30 overage subpool, which again increased your rebates by $181. So now let's take another $100 of that and spend it with our local merchants and service providers. And now we can see that by generating $40 in overage rebates and qualifying for the $40 subpool so that we receive rebates from all of our group. If this was at 10%, that extra $400 in spending brought us an extra $812 in overage rebates. Let's just take a quick look so we can see that on our calculator results. So now you can see when you reach your 2-year goal, you'll be receiving $2,812 per month and will have received $22,009 over the course of the 2 years. But now let's go back to the calculator and see if we can affect that one more time. Do you think that when people see the fact that virtually all of the money they spend with the local merchants and service providers on overage comes back to them through the overage plan and more, that this will increase their spending to get into those overage subpools? Well, I think so. So now let's increase the number of members in our group that reach the various subpools. Let's change the $10 subpool to 85%, the $20 subpool to 70%, the $30 subpool to at least 50%, and the $40 subpool, we believe 30% of our group will now qualify to get into that subpool. So now as you can see, with more group activity in the overage subpools, your total rebates have shot up to over $3,000 per month. That looks like this on the graph, and again, you're up to $24,886. So now you can see how all the variables work together. Well, now let's move over to the rebate chart and let's look something up. When you set your goal, you set it at 500. So where does that fall in on the rebate chart? Let's see, we'll go down here. Can't see it here. Here's $500. No, that's not it. You're talking about 500 members. Well, here it is, 500 members. Oh, wait a minute. 501 members jumps to $3,000. Remember, this is a stepped program. So do you think you could add one more member? Well, I think so. And rather than just add one, let's go back to the calculator and change that number at the top from 500 to say 600. So now just by adding 100 members, you can see that your monthly rebates received would go up by $1,000 to $4,301, with $1,300 in overage and $3,000 in shared. Now you can also see that up here. Here's your shared, and here's your overage. You can also see that these numbers have changed so that when you actually get to the end, you'll have 600 active members. But these are the numbers that you'll have to bring in each month into your entire group, which are not large numbers. And for doing that, you'll have received $32,167 over the 2 years, an increase of over 7,000 rebate dollars. Now let's get the idea that the Worldwide Shoppers Club is very established. We've got lots of merchants. There's many places to go shopping. Members are coming in, and there's a momentum that's building, and you were way short on your goal. So let's go back up here and double it. Let's suppose that you're going to go to 1,200 members. Now your results say that you're at $7,008 and have received $63,000 over the 2 years. So I think you're getting a very good idea of how the calculator works, but I just want to do one more thing before we get done. In the theme of full disclosure and transparency, what I want to do is look at each one of our charts and graphs, etc., and show you that in each one of them we have a full disclaimer down here to make sure that people realize that these are only mathematical models, number one, and number two, that the only way that they're going to succeed is through their hard work and effort. So here's the disclaimer on the calculator itself, but now let's go over to the charts. You'll notice that each one of the charts also has a disclaimer on it. It's basically saying the same thing and giving some information about how the numbers are calculated. So the point I'm making is these numbers can only be calculated through a mathematical model. For example, this chart and the previous one are made with the subpool variables of 85% for the $10 subpool, 65% for the 20, 30% for the 30, and 15% for the 40. And that's how we arrived at 243 for the 1,000 and 243 for the 1,056. Now here's the next point I want to get to. On these charts and the presentation charts, because we're just trying to give a snapshot with no complications, we add those two and say that's 2,056. Now let's go to the calculator and fill that in and show you what we would have to do to actually get to that number. So if I go here, I go back up here, we go to 243. Okay, I probably should have also mentioned that it's also with the parameter of you personally being in the full $40 subpool. So if we change the variables now to what I said, 85 is at 10, 65 was at 20, 30 at 30, and 15 at 40. And you can see here we're at 1,467, which again is not what we put in the chart over here at 2,056 for the total. The reason for that is because we were just using 50% for the size of the overage group. In order to make those numbers match, we would have to have a 100% overage group to subgroup ratio. If we do that again, as you can see here, it's 2,056, exactly what the chart says. From here to 2,056 rebates received. As we've pointed out, it's more likely that the shared group will grow faster than the overage group. So the reality is, at this level, the shared group would probably be at 363 for $2,000, which would make this 3,056. Well, again, let's go back to the calculator and see how that would happen. If we go back here and we put in 363, we would have to adjust this to make the overage group 243, and that would be 67%. Now the overage group is 243, and now you can see that the monthly received rebate balance would be 3,056. Exactly what we would get if we would look at the calculator numbers and know that that variance exists. However, it's very difficult to show that in a snapshot. So I just want to make it clear for full transparency that this chart and the chart used on the introduction presentation is slightly inaccurate unless both groups are exactly 100% even, which is unlikely, but it's difficult to show that in any other way. So I'm just going to wrap this up by going back to the calculator and encouraging you to play with as many numbers as you want. And I think you can see that this is a very generous rebate plan. So play with the calculator, set your goals, what you expect to do. Here will be your step-by-step milestone of achievement. And of course, here will be the results that you can expect over the 2-year period. Have fun creating your future. So if you haven't gone there, the next part is the advanced details of the residual rebate system. We go over the additional qualifications for rebates, placement that you can do both in the shared and the overage rebate system. You might want to know about that. Give you a little bit more detail on how the overage rebate point distribution occurs. Then we talk about something very important for people that are really taking the Worldwide Shoppers Club seriously, and that's multiple positions, both personal and cross-array positions, multiple position overage rebates, And finally, some information about merchant allocators. Now, this section might not be for everyone, but if you want to be fully versed in the rebate system, I suggest you go ahead and get it done.